Welcome to another episode of Grind Culture Podcast. I am Ed.
And I am Colton.
And as you can see here, we are in a new location, trying something new. Maybe it'll evolve to something. Maybe we'll get some design, or maybe we'll move somewhere else. But right now, we're kind of in the scramble of like, okay, what could we do next? Maybe we'll be back to the roaster. We don't know. Yeah. But for now, this is where we are.
Still doing coffee, though.
Still doing coffee and still doing a lot of content for you guys. Again, thank you for joining us. Couple of announcements. We will be having my good friend now and Colton's brother, Cody, back on. So what I would like to ask from our audience is if you have any questions for Cody, maybe you listened to his last episode. A lot of people did, I know. So if you're excited to have him back on, what kind of things would you want us to ask him in continuation of what we already asked him in the first episode? So
yeah, there was a lot of things that because we talked about just me and him being brothers, I think, and there was a lot of things we brought him on for that we didn't really get to dip into.
Yeah.
Health related and lifestyle related. So if you do have any health questions or lifestyle questions about food, about working out, about business, then go ahead and drop them in the comments and we will make sure that your questions get answered.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for the support on Cody's episode. I know it means a lot to Colton and a lot to Cody and also a lot to me that Cody brought in such an impact. Much like our friend Cameron and much like other episodes, it just feels cool to see certain episodes get that little bit more of an outreach or that more of like an increase in viewership or listenership, just because like, okay, yeah, people want to listen and people get excited when we talk about certain topics or we talk about with certain people. So it's cool to see that. And again, just appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, heck yeah. And so far it seems like he got number 2 most popular episode. Our most popular episode was coffee equipment. So I think we'll definitely be doing a part 2 on coffee equipment very soon here. Which will be very good. So,
and then I don't know, I was before we get into this topic or this week's topic, I kind of wanted to kind of brainstorm about like, where do you see this podcast going like next year? Because we are going to start hitting a busy season. We are going to start hitting a holiday season. I also want to ask you guys, typically as podcasts go, there's breaks from going from like the Christmas season to the New Year season. There'll be like reruns of episodes, or there'll be like hits or like our favorite topics. We'll probably do something like that just because the holiday season gets busy for everybody, including ourselves. And we'll probably start a season 2 of our podcast starting sometime in January.
Crazy.
Very crazy about where it's just come to and where we're going with it. So any topics that you guys might want to know about next year, and it doesn't have to be coffee related. It could be about anything. Just let us know. But as far as you, where do you want to try something different for the next year, or do you want to like try maybe something very small and like a small change, or do you want us like to go somewhere beyond what we're doing now?
So I've actually been thinking about this, and I feel like we haven't got to a point where we're like, what do we do this week? You know, we don't have a topic. It's always like I come to you or you come to me and like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And it's like we automatically have something and we're like, oh heck yeah, that's a good idea. So I feel like if we just keep going down this line, especially for like the podcast, like the listener type, keep doing what we're doing. And I think all the topics that we've hit on, especially coffee to health to wellness to being, to being dads, being husbands, being a good friend, whatever, I think we can start, just keep going down those lines, maybe get deeper, have more guests on, those type of things for our listeners and our viewers. But also like for the people that are watching on YouTube, I think there's a whole side that we have not even thought about yet. Because I when we're talking, I think like, okay, people are watching us on YouTube. I don't really think about like the Apple podcast type thing. So I do. So opposite. I think of the podcast, like people are listening to us. But I think there's a whole side of like YouTube that we're missing of like, I want this to eventually get into product reviews and
Yeah.
doing those types of things, and
Mhm.
instructional videos on how to make better coffee at home, and stuff that like cafes can do, and like stuff you can do to implement into your lives with coffee. So I think there's like something there that I want to implement eventually. So it's not only be a podcast, but also like, you know,
How to
through our exactly.
tutorials
So
or stuff
that's
like
where I
that.
see it going. That's where I hope it goes.
Well, that's
Um,
exciting. Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, because yeah, this did start off as a listener only type, but we film it, so
Mhm. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good on both platforms. But I think eventually we can kind of. I mean, I always wanted to be podcast heavy, listener like supported type, but definitely like build our
Mhm.
coffee like knowledge.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a lot of our followers are into, like, even if we just did like a French press, how to make a good French press, I think people would be down for that. So
I think they would, and I think that's a great idea. I mean, this is why I love the podcast, because we banter and we're so busy doing stuff here and doing stuff at home. I didn't know that, and that's a great idea. It totally makes sense. So, we'll go back and forth on a lot of things about next year and what we'll be doing, and maybe you'll see one of our tutorials, probably mostly Colton's, because he is coffee master, head honcho. But yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
That's
What about you though?
Well, I didn't really think about that. I did want to maybe like, for me, like, because I do the editing so much, like I'd maybe like want to tweak some of our equipment, or like some of the editing things that we do, and like much like you, like, because it is so visual, maybe I do a little bit more, or we do something like you said, product review. We have visually, it's nice to see, or if we have a screen, or we could pull stuff up like on a computer, or if we're like ever talking about it, whether it's like a coffee shop or like equipment, we'll have something like a computer that could screen share, screen record while we're like talking about it. Kind of like what an engineer, like most podcasts, visual podcasts have engineers where they like do that for them.
Yeah.
So whether it's like maybe we do it ourselves, or somebody that helps us out, maybe we bring somebody on board to help us do that kind of stuff, Yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Because I think that makes it easier for everybody, for me and you, while we're discussing something, somebody could just look it up and just pop it up on the screen for us.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I was kind of thinking.
Heck yeah.
So maybe we'll start getting a voluntary staff, internship staff going.
Let's go. Yeah, we talked about that one time.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the topic of the month, really, and then a continuation of that, health. I kind of wanted to get into food, like everything involving food, whether it's like good pairs with coffee, the food that we grew up with, or the food that we eat on a daily basis. Just because food is, people would say, maybe like 50-50 when it comes to your health. I don't know if it's more than that or if it's less than that, but I could definitely see somebody's bad habits or good habits affecting the way they feel throughout the day, or affecting the way they perform throughout the day,
Yeah, for sure.
And with me going through this arc, I think the thing that I've neglected the most is food, whether that's food quality or food intake. That's been, out of everything that we had discussed that day, that's kind of been on the back burner.
Yeah.
I will admit I've been indulging in some sugars. I don't always eat the best things. In fact, because Lindsay was pregnant, she'll get some cravings every now and then, and I'll indulge, and not so much anymore now. But so yeah, I kind of wanted to put a focus on food, get my brain working on like food, just so maybe I could take some information that you have, or some things that I bring up that I didn't really realize, and I could take that home, process it, and try to implement it on the back half, or like the later half of this
sweet
arc that we're doing here, and even further beyond that. So food. What I wanted to ask you first with food, how is your diet now? Is it strict diet? Because I know you grew up. Let's take it back.
Yep.
We were even talking about this earlier today, about like stuff we were eating as kids and how we were eating it. What is your memory of like your just normal food routine of you being a kid growing up in the mountains? How was that?
So yeah, it was like it was like my brother said on the last episode, is pretty much just like whole food, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty much, you know, you cook every meal
Yeah.
type. You don't really, you know, stick stuff in the microwave. You don't have like really those options. Yeah, of course we had like those moments where we had like a microwave burrito or something like that, but the majority of our diet was like, you know, we had like eggs and stuff for breakfast, you know, like a couple eggs and some toast or something. And then we had like yogurt, things like that. And then lunch we had, you know, fruit, maybe a sandwich or, you know, just something very healthy. And then dinner time, it was always something home cooked. So it was like a casserole or pasta or things like that. Chicken, like we ate so much chicken and meat growing up. It was just like, you know, like oven baked chicken or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of protein, just whole food type of things. My mom always cooking, making salads, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Smoothies all the time, heavy on the fruit.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really, you know, only time that I ate like bad food growing up is if I like went out with like a friend or something and we went somewhere rare, or if I went to a buddy's house and, you know, their parents shopped differently, like if they shopped at Costco or something, and, you know, you're like, whoa, like there's this type of food.
Wait, the mountains, is there even really fast food around?
Not really.
Yeah.
Especially on the side of the mountain I grew up on. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was like a McDonald's and stuff like further down the mountain and like stuff up towards Big Bear, but other than that, there was more just like a couple restaurants and that was it. There wasn't really fast food.
Yeah.
You know, there was like a Mexican restaurant. There was a breakfast spot. There was a pizza place.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that because you grew up in the mountains, and for anybody that doesn't know, like mountain living, to me, it's like you kind of seclude yourself from like fast-paced life in a way, right? I mean, it's not like a city. I mean, it could be. It could be a city, but not in the mountains that we know, or I know, or Colton knows. It's very like, what you think of a mountain town, what you think of that in your head is kind of what it is.
Yeah, it's way different. Of course, we would go down the hill sometimes, like to San Bernardino or Redlands or Riverside or something, and we would, you know, get fast food like In-N-Out. Like that was like a huge treat. Like if we went to In-N-Out and got a burger, that was huge. That was crazy.
Oh yeah.
You know, like once a month or once every few months, like you'd go get something like that. But other than that, it was like, yeah, maybe go to like the burger stand up the road when we were kids and get a burger or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't really those options. It was just like cook whatever or eat whatever mom cooked. And my mom, she is an awesome cook, and so she just was always just every meal.
Yeah. Just
cranking it out, so there's always something to eat.
Yeah.
And then we lived off leftovers, of course, so she would like make a huge dish and that would last us like 3 days. So that was it. And then, yeah, I wouldn't say I was like perfectly healthy. You know, I still, like if there was something laying around that was a snack that we rarely had, yeah, I would eat it. But I would say like compared to like your average kid nowadays, especially living in the city, 10 times more healthy. Now it's so different. I feel like even my kids, you know, they're healthy, but there's stuff that they eat that I wouldn't have. You know, not saying in a bad way. It's not like I'm giving them soda and things like those things, but they're still like, you know, chicken nuggets. We were talking about chicken nuggets earlier. Like I'll nuke them some chicken nuggets in the microwave.
Yeah, dude. I love good chicken nuggets. Getting Eloise some dino nuggets in the air fryer I was talking about.
There you go, man.
It's the best. That crunch and that chicken.
But what about you growing up? I know you mentioned like you'd have like your grandma would cook you like some really good home style meals and stuff. So
yeah, it was weird because like my life compared to my friends, like growing up was so different as far as our food goes, and like it was only like the friend group that I had, once they discovered the kind of food that I ate every day, they always came over to my house and started eating my grandma's food.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And my parents hated it.
Right.
Because there was never any food left. Because my grandma, what she does, this is like a normal thing growing up.
Yeah.
I go to school, me and my siblings go to school, my mom goes to work, my dad goes to work. My grandma stays home and just cooks all day, right? She cooks for the family. So she'll have like lunch ready, as soon as we get home,
Right.
and then we'll eat that same thing for dinner if we're still
Mhm.
hungry, if we don't want to snack on something else. And so when my dad got home from work, my mom got home from work, same thing. They ate the dinner that my grandma made.
Right.
But my friends, once they caught wind of what
Mhm.
I had waiting at home for me every day, they started coming over and they macked on that food.
Yeah.
I was surprised because I didn't think they were gonna like it because like it's not that foreign. There's like a lot of chicken, a lot of potatoes,
Mhm.
a lot of rice, a lot of like red meats, but cooked in like spices, like different spices in different ways.
Yeah.
So I didn't know like my friends were gonna actually like the food that I ate.
Yeah.
Because I was, whenever I went to their house, it was like that. It was like, oh, there's this kind of food. Like,
Mhm.
there's this kind of food in America. I'm just used to eating Peruvian food every day.
Right.
And so my parents would hate when my friends came over and ate food because
It's expensive.
my grandma, I don't
Yeah.
know if this was a result of my grandma not being able to speak English
Mhm.
or she just was nice, maybe both.
Yeah.
She would just feed my friends, right? And like it came to a point where like she had to either cook more or make plates and set them aside for my parents in order for them to actually be able to eat like a dish
Right.
when they got home. But yeah, that's how I grew up is my grandma always made different Peruvian dishes, and my grandma is all her recipes are up here.
Mm-hmm.
She does have them written down,
Yeah.
but like this, and I remember this book specifically because it's like one of those notebooks, like it's that black and white like standard notebooks that you would get,
Yeah.
like you would journal in, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those books with yellow paper in it and her handwriting, like from top line to bottom line, just
Mhm.
full of handwriting of like notes or recipes and instructions. And I can't read it.
No. Yeah.
I could read Spanish. I know how to read Spanish, but I just can't read her handwriting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very like particular cursive. Like I picture it in my head.
I can imagine it, like
Yeah.
old school, just like very nice
Yeah.
cursive, but it's just
Yeah.
it's
For some reason,
very
my,
dense.
Yeah, my brain can't wrap my head, like my head can't wrap my brain around it. So
That's funny. My mom's the same way. She like has all these recipes and cookbooks and stuff, but she never uses them. She just everything right off the top of her head. It's like,
Mhm.
hey mom, how'd you make this? She's like, I don't know.
I just watch. I've been telling like myself like I have been learning to cook more Peruvian food, but one day I just wanted to go like videotape my grandma cooking like
Mhm.
certain dishes that I like, so I know how to do
Right.
it just like visually.
Just cook with her.
One day I'll do
hands-on.
that. Mhm.
Yep.
But anyways, that was me. Is me growing up, and my grandma would cook all these dishes, all these Peruvian dishes that she knew how to make. By lunchtime, they were ready. By the time I got home from school, it was ready for us to eat.
Yep.
That was it through like from me going to elementary school through high school.
Mhm.
That's what it was. That
Yeah.
was and every now and then, like you, we did treat ourselves to fast food. I think like Domino's or Pizza Hut was like big for us because I think my dad worked at Pizza Hut at one point or
Mhm.
Domino's, one of those, and maybe both even. And like pizza was such a treat for us,
Right.
because like I don't think he grew up eating a lot of pizza. So when like
Mhm.
he got a job there when he first got here, it was like, oh yeah, pizza's the best thing ever.
Right.
So we would get pizza, sometimes McDonald's, but I wasn't really into McDonald's even
Yeah.
as a kid, especially not now. I don't care for McDonald's at all, but even as a kid, I never really cared for McDonald's at
Yeah.
all. But yeah, every now and then we go out to eat, like fast food place. And then in high school, that's all I did was eat fast food
Yeah.
because my friends also, and our high school was cool in a way where we were able to go off-campus lunches.
That was sick.
And so every night, like every day, every kids had their cars, and like
Mhm.
we would all hop in like one car or somebody else's car
Yep.
each day, and then go to a freaking like Mexico Viejo to get some like hole in the wall Mexican food or In-N-Out or
Yeah.
Chipotle or something like that. So that's what it was for me. Like growing up a lot, it was like a lot of Peruvian food, and then like eating out with my friends. But
Mhm.
I miss those days where there was food around. Like you really took that for granted when I was
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Not that like I would want anybody like to serve me any every day, but that's what it was. I mean, and it was awesome. I took that for granted. I should have appreciated it more, but I was a kid. And
Yeah.
I didn't even really like it. What's crazy the part is like I wasn't really looking forward to the food that much.
Yeah, you kind of just Yeah, like you're saying, you don't really see the blessing that's in front of you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of meals that I didn't like that my mom cooked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays I would like die for one of those, but like as a kid, you're like, I don't want this. And it's like my brother would have to eat it because we had a rule at the table, like you don't leave the table until the food's gone. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we had our leftover side, but whatever's on your plate, you had to finish. So there was plenty of those times.
My grandma would love that rule, by the way.
Yeah.
She would worry if you didn't eat your food, finish
Mhm.
your food, or finish your plate. And she would even worry if you didn't have seconds.
Mm.
And her plates are huge. They're big.
Yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, the mountains was fun because it was like we had our friend group. We had a huge friend group, and then each family was so like different, especially when it comes to food. It was like you had my house where my mom was cooking like a ton of food, smoothies all the time, fruit. So it was like my friends would always come over and grub down, and like till this day, you know, my friends will talk about like the food and how great it was, and we were always just doing things like that. My mom also had chicken, so we had eggs constantly. She made her own bread, like she ground her own wheat and made her own bread, and like she still does it to this day. Like, so we always had bread. She has like a ton of apple trees, so we always had apples and canned, like jarred, like, you know, apple butters and jams and stuff like that. Like it's very like home steady type feel.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from my mom's house. And then, you know, I would go to like my friend Luke's house, and it was like you go to his mom's house, and she shopped at Costco, and that was like huge. Everybody just go to his house and mow down on all this Costco stuff, and it's like, what is this? This is freaking
bulk
awesome
stuff. Yeah,
because she worked off the mountain, so she would go shopping and bring up like this car full of food, and we would just go devour. And then you had his dad's house, who he was a cook, and he would make all these like home style meals of like all this different type of food. And you know, then my other friends, like, you had just different dynamics everywhere, people doing things, and it's like wherever you were at, food was like a huge thing in someone's own way, like it is still in everybody's house. But I feel like a lot of houses now, it's like going out to eat, it's like that's the way of living, you know, and I think it's horrible.
Yeah.
Of course, not like all the time, but I mean, if you're doing it all the time, yeah, there's something that I don't agree with there. But yeah, I'm like moving on to like high school and stuff. We kind of were in the same boat. We weren't allowed to really go off campus, but we did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Especially like being senior and stuff.
Yeah.
There was one Mexican food place at the gas station called Alberto's, and it was awesome. Like we would go sneak off there every now and then, get like California burrito.
Oh yeah,
and it was just like the best thing, like when you got it. And
yeah, California burritos. I don't know who listens, but if you don't know what California burrito is, you can have it kind of very different ways, but
the classic way, yeah.
Typically there's French fries in it, right?
French fries.
It's
guacamole, sour cream,
carne asada,
yeah.
And all wrapped in a tortilla.
So good.
So good, dude. I used to get that all the time, dude.
So we would do that all the time. Yeah, that was fun. And then moving on to college, a little bit more lenient. I still, you know, I cooked for myself more. I ate pretty healthy. Kind of kept that childhood stuff going on. I've always valued food, good food. College, when I'd go to college, I'd go get Panda Express and stuff like that every now and then if I didn't bring my own lunch. But I still kept it pretty healthy. So
Panda Express, yeah, that was kind of something I think we used to eat, but not really. I wasn't really much of like the Asian cuisine type. College is interesting. So college for me was also like my way into finding out that I enjoyed cooking and like cooking for myself. Nice. But as a kid, I like even experimented with cooking for myself in a way. It's because sometimes when my parents first moved here, and I was like in elementary school, because they were first time citizens or residents of the United States, they often had to result in working two jobs sometimes, which also resulted into my grandma having to watch over us for a little bit longer than probably should have. But my grandma, she cooked all day and then she rested at night. She just made sure that we ate. But there was times where it's like, like I said, I didn't want to cook or eat the Peruvian food. So every now and then I'd go into like trying to find something for myself was making like a turkey sandwich for myself, or a bowl of cereal, or like making like my own lemonade, or cutting up like a fruit salad for myself. I remember we used to do that. I used to like eat like a lot of peaches. I remember eating a lot of peaches when I was little. And like I kind of like always, that's a very core memory of mine, of me going to the fridge and just trying to find myself something to eat and making it myself.
Right.
Like I always did that. And that kind of translated into college, because when I wasn't around my grandma that much anymore.
Yeah.
And my parents were still working or doing their thing, I veered off in like to survivor mode. I was like, all right, what do I do? What do I make? And that's when I started like really experimenting or experiencing cooking again, which I totally enjoyed. I fell in love with it. And
nice.
If I could have one thing constant in my life, one of the many things, but one thing constant in my life, it would be that I get to cook my own dinner with an empty kitchen, just me, non-interrupted, and just like listening to music. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Nice. I do not like anybody in the kitchen when I'm cooking.
Same.
I don't like help. I don't need help. I'll try to do it just uninterrupted, cooking and cleaning. That would be like perfect for me if I could have that just joy of being in like my solitude while prepping something. That's something I love to do. Yeah. I don't do it. I do it every day almost, because I get home, I say hi to Eloise, and I was like, all right, what are we making? What do we want? And then I'll start cooking. And luckily, not luckily, because every now and then like Eloise will want to help me cook now. Yeah. Because she's kind of getting into it, but Lindsay will still be working, so I kind of get my solitude in that way. But going back to college was really the time where I started like experimenting cooking for myself, and maybe paying attention to like what I'm eating, because at that same time I was also very like into like fitness. Right. Not very into fitness, but I was aware of fitness and like what my body looked like, because all through high school and maybe even part of into college, like I didn't care what I looked like. Like I wasn't working on any muscles. I wasn't really athletic. I wasn't like really doing sports. So I just kind of like let my scrawny self just hang around like with everybody. And then in college I was like, oh, maybe I should start getting like some kind of muscle definition or start doing something active. So I was really like focusing on watching what I eat and exercising and everything. Yeah. Was that kind of like similar for you in college?
Yeah, I mean, mine started as a kid though, because I valued looking good and having muscle and knowing what has to what you have to feed yourself in order to kind of keep a good physique. So that kind of started at early childhood, and then into high school even more, because now all of a sudden you have all these hormones and you want to look good for girls. Oh yeah. Like that. So I valued that probably a little bit more than I should have. But I was also an athlete, so I was always rock climbing, I was skiing, I was biking, I was playing soccer, pick up basketball games, you name it. We were constantly doing stuff. We were always playing outside. So I always knew the importance of it. Of eating good if you wanted to look good. So that even more followed me into college and just like progressed even more. Because then I started, when I was a kid, I didn't really work out. It was just lifestyle based. So I kept myself fit, just my lifestyle. But then in college, I actually got into like going to the gym and working out, and then you have to take it up a whole nother level. You're like, oh dang, I gotta eat more protein now. I gotta really be careful of what I'm eating. I stopped drinking like sugar, or I stopped drinking like soda and stuff like that, like right outside of high school. I haven't drank soda since. It's been almost 15 years since I've drank a can of soda. So it's like those things I've really just kind of like always held value in it. And then it's really cool too, because I've been able to help a lot of people through that. I think because I learned it at such an early stage. I saw once you get into college, a lot of people are into the gym. They're into the way they look and, feeling good and doing all those things. So I was able to like really help my friends out and things like that. So, and I wasn't perfect, there's meals and junk that I've eaten that I shouldn't have, but when you're young, you can kind of get away with it. Nowadays, it's like if I go say, screw it, I'm going to go have a Frappuccino at Starbucks and I'm going to go have some fries and, you know, all this deep fried crap and a can of soda. It's like, I'll feel that the next day.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'll like, I'll want to throw up and I want to die and I'll feel sluggish and moody. It's like when you're a kid, no, it's like not even a thing.
No way.
Unless you're like way in it to where you're like obese. I'm not trying to talk smack, but if you're like obese and you have all these health problems, you don't really know. But if you're like, I mean, there's underlining stuff there that's not good, but I don't know where I was going with that, but I just feel like, I don't know, nowadays we can't really, we can't just go like cheat for a day.
Nope.
And not even cheat for a day, just eat crappy for a day and expect like, it'll just, it'll blow over, you know?
That's kind of how
it's not worth it.
That's kind of oddly, I mean, not oddly enough, but that's kind of how I feel, luckily enough, about alcohol. Because I know you're sober. You haven't had any alcohol in your life, right? Or maybe you tried it, but...
Yeah, I had a small stage, a couple years, whatever. I just, like, had fun nights here and there. But, yeah, I haven't drank in maybe close to a decade now.
Right. So there was, like, every now and then... In college, I used to drink beer, and then like in college or like a little bit after college, microbrews started being a thing. Like there was a bunch of them popping up in San Diego, and like a thing was like going with your friends or your girlfriend trying like new microbrews and like trying new IPAs and infusions and stuff like that. So that was like kind of a big thing. And that was probably at like my unhealthiest was when I was doing all that. Yeah. Because I stayed scrawny, but like you could tell I was weak. My body wasn't taking in like the nutrients that it needed, and beer fills you up, so you don't think you need to eat anything. Like that was definitely by far my worst, unhealthiest that I've been. Was like going into trying all those like the microbrew stage, and like going into Indiana where like. Indiana, there was a lot of beer and like a lot of greasy food there, and like they'd have, I mean, it is what it is. They had no culture there, like no different kinds of food. It was just all greasy food, it seemed like. So that was terrible. But I realized that beer is, though it's good, it was good to me, it really quickly immediately died away. Like beer isn't that good. No. Like people, it's like I just like the taste of beer. And beer's not good to me. No. Like it's there's a better alcohol to drink. Like good wine's pretty good with like a good meat or like a good steak, or a cocktail is good with something. But beer's just disgusting. Yeah. So I started I took beer out of my life completely, then I started going into like just having like wine or a cocktail, like a little into my marriage with Lindsay. And even that died down like significantly maybe like 2 years ago. Yeah. So if I could maybe count the times I've had alcohol on my hand, like just in the past like a year maybe. Yeah. And even that, like on one hand, I could like maybe 4 times I've had alcohol. And what I was trying to get to that is if you have alcohol, like any time I like indulge in like a wine or like I'll have a cocktail at my brother's house. Yeah. I'll feel it immediately the next day, and I'll feel like that. I'll feel like disgusted with myself. I can't really move. My head hurts, and I think that's the same thing with food. And maybe that's kind of like a way to really train your body to like give you a reminder that you don't need to have all this crappy stuff coming in your body, because you'll feel it. Like your body will tell you like, hey, this isn't good for you. Right. Don't do it. Don't try to like do it. Not do it as much.
Yeah, and it's addicting too. I mean, all that crap food, especially stuff that's sugar based or carb based, like it's so addicting, and it's so hard to get off of it. Like once you just like cave into it and you go and you go and you go, and all of a sudden you have more fat than you have muscle. It's like your body just feeds off of it, and it really controls your mental state. Yeah. And it's so hard to climb outside of that. So it's very dangerous. And that goes, and like you're saying, that goes along with alcohol. Like alcohol, you can get so lost in it. And I mean, I mentioned here before that like I don't, like one of the main reasons why I don't drink alcohol is because my dad was an alcoholic, you know, like it controlled his life. It actually ruined his life, you know. So it's like he would drink a 36 pack in a matter of a day or two, you know, and like that was on top of hard alcohol. So it was like, yeah, you just see it destroy it. And it's not only just it's bad for you, it's, you know, it destroys your health, you know, and it's just like sugar to me, you know. That's how I feel the same way it was alcohol than I do is like sugar, you know. It's like I feel like it's like alcohol is like a loud killer and sugar is like a silent killer, you know. It takes a little longer, but eventually it'll keep up. So
you're right. I mean, I try to even the sugar thing. I've been trying my best to not eat sugar as much, and if I am, it's either natural sugars or like a dark chocolate or like just an organic chocolate. I've been trying to take syrup even out of like my lattes.
Yeah.
Every now and then not even now and then I took syrup out of my lattes at home. I started substituting that with like honey and agave.
Perfect, yeah.
But then I stopped even doing that. I was like, do I need honey? Do I need agave?
Yeah.
Do I need any of this? No, I don't think so. Like I can just enjoy my latte the way it is. It's just like oat milk and
and that's the best. That's the best. And I agree. I haven't, you know, I got rid of simple syrups a long time ago because I always thought simple syrups. I don't know why I always thought, but when you we can talk about get on coffee. Since this is a coffee podcast, let's talk about coffee for a second and the health benefits in it, like we have talked about before.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're drinking coffee, like your standard American goes and orders a caramel frappuccino or a vanilla latte or something like that from Starbucks, it's like that's just straight up sugar. And I think a lot of people know that, but you don't really realize. A lot of people just wave it off like it's nothing. They think like, oh, I'm getting my daily coffee. That's it. That's all it is. But it's like, no, it's so filled with crap. It's like the last thing you're getting is like caffeine and like the benefits from it. If you're just filling it with all that junk, you're just having dessert for breakfast. It's ridiculous, you know? So it's like simple syrups. I always thought when I was, you know, in my first stages of drinking coffee, I was like, oh, creamer's creamer. Like, it just makes my coffee taste good. You don't really realize, like, you don't think about it. You don't think about the amount of sugar that's in it, the corn syrup and all those, like, nasty artificial, like, preservatives. Like, you just don't think about it. So, yeah, I'm along the same lines as you. Is with my coffee, I've learned to just enjoy it black, like, just a nice pour over an Americano or an espresso shot, even though it's intense, like, and it's harsh to the tongue at first, and you really have to develop the palate and learn about coffee and learn how to enjoy it and learn that light roast is actually where you're going to get your good coffee out of, and you're going to get those notes. And I mean, you eventually learn, just like, you know, people that are wine drinkers, you learn that, you know, what makes a good quality cup. And not only that, but you're not putting any additives into it, and you're getting a good, like, caffeine kick that is good for you, and that is healthy and that's natural. And then on top of that, like you're saying, if I'm gonna add anything, just, you know, add some whole milk or whatever milk you drink, and a little bit of honey and cinnamon. Like, that's it, man.
That's all you need, really.
It
gives it flavor. It gives it some kind of like sugary substance if that's what you're looking for. But I just figured, like, I don't even need it. It's probably like a good thing. Just cut out a little bit more sugar than I can, or every little bit counts, I guess is what I'm trying to say, you know.
Dude, I used to work at a Christian camp, and we would, like, devour coffee all day. Like, we would just make Folgers in the huge machines all day, have it available for, like, the campers and the staff. The amount of coffee we drink is unhealthy. But on top of that, we would just, like, we had those little coffee mate creamer things, the little, like, pouches. Dude, I'd make iced coffee for everybody all the time, and I would put, like, 10 of those things in the drink. And even me, like, for myself, we would just chug them down. You don't think about it. You're just like, I'm going to make really good, like, sweet iced coffee. And so we make really dark, bold coffee and then devour it in those creamers, and we just go to town on them. And that was, like, my first, like, oh, man, I would go, if I could go back in time and not drink them, I totally would, and I would get into real coffee. But
that's crazy. That was probably, you probably wired if you were doing all that.
Oh, we were cranked out. We were at the point where it just wasn't even working anymore. It was just, you were chugging it to chug it. Yeah. And that's, like, nasty, like, horrible quality coffee, roasted horribly, processed horribly, and it's definitely not specialty grade. You know, that's just, like, the crappy farms, big companies buying it, roasting it, and selling it, and it's probably a year old. Who knows where it came from?
It's weird because like my dad grew up in Peru, and he was surrounded by good coffee, and he told me like he used to, like his parents used to go to like coffee farms, or like some of his relatives used to go to coffee farms and grab coffee.
Right.
And when he got here, he resorted to Folgers because it was so popular around that time, that Folgers was the coffee that you brought home and you made. And my dad used to do this thing where like the bread is a big thing for breakfast in Peru. It's like bread, and you could eat bread with like ham and cheese, or with like butter and like meat or something, or like with chorizo. So my dad, like, we would always have like a bowl of like rolls for breakfast, and he would always have this big mug of Folgers coffee, and he used to dip his bread in coffee into Folgers coffee, and it had sugar in it, and it had creamer in it. I remember specifically my dad used to dip his bread and just eat it like that, you know?
That's funny.
That's a very another core memory. I bet I don't think he still does that, but I can remember that vividly. I remember like how soggy it looked when he took it out. I remember like how it smelled, oddly enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad, like he was surrounded by good coffee all his childhood, and then he comes here around like the time where Folgers was big, and he started drinking Folgers, and I don't know, I never asked him like, did you notice like the downgrade in quality at all? He must have, but like, then again, he put creamer and sugar in it, so maybe he did.
Hard to tell. If you're not drinking it black, then but that's the American way right there. You just explained it. That's coffee, that's food, that's everything. It's just a huge like commodity. Crank it out, make some money, and who cares about the benefits? But there's a cool thing now of waves of health and food and drink and stuff going around, especially in the U.S. that we see that we're catching up to more. It seems like, especially in some communities and circles, that you see a lot of people are going back to the natural way it's supposed to be, enjoying stuff how it was supposed to be. So that's cool.
There's two things I wanted to ask you before we close this out. One is, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to start with. I'm going to start with this. We'll end on coffee. One is, what now that you are in a house and you have a family, what are things in your house that you always have to have as far as like grocery goes, just based off like your lifestyles, things that you eat all the time? Like, what are some things that is always in the fridge or in the pantry at Colton Johnstone's house?
Let's see. So we'll start with the freezer. So there's always meat in the freezer. Have that be chicken, ground round, whatever. There's always a lean meat in the freezer because I think I eat that almost every day. Outside of the freezer, if there's meat, I always have canned tuna or canned chicken all the time. Also in the freezer, let's see, I have a lot of frozen fruit. So blueberries being like the top of the list, and then mixed berries being the second. So I eat frozen blueberries all the time, always have. Even as a kid, I would just like have blue hands, I would just eat frozen blueberries all day.
Eloise, she loves that.
Same with my girls. So all the time. Smoothies are huge, so always stocked up for smoothie stuff. Move up to the fridge. You're going to find a bunch of vegetables, especially bell peppers, onions, and carrots. Those are like the three main ones. And then we have our breads. We always buy good bread. So like sourdough, it's probably the only bread we ever eat. Or if my mom hooked us up with some bread, it's like homemade sourdough. So that, go up a shelf. That's where your drinks are. This is just me picturing my fridge right now. You have all like your drinks. So you have your milks. You have your juices, your good juices, 100% juice, your good milks. And then what's next to that? Then you have your sparkling water. My wife loves sparkling water. So we have that. I go up a shelf. It's eggs galore. Eggs are like one of my favorite foods.
That's what I was looking for, your eggs, because I know you always have it.
So I always have 2 dozen on hand at least.
2 dozen on hand.
Because I'll go through eggs like crazy. I'll eat like 4 or 5 in a sitting. So
what's your favorite way to eat eggs?
Over easy. For
Over
sure.
easy.
Yeah, my weekends consist of like sourdough and like 3 eggs to start off my day
Mhm.
with my coffee, of course. So you have that. Then you have your yogurts, your good yogurts, not your out of crap sugar yogurts. My girls do. My girls do have like this ones that they get for treats, like the small little like princess ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But other than that, I have plain Greek yogurt, whole yogurt. That's like another thing. Yogurt's huge. I love yogurt.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't like it because of the dairy, but it doesn't mess with me, so I love it.
Mhm.
And then let's see, that's pretty much it. That's always in our fridge. So you can always find that in our fridge.
Okay.
Anything else in there? And then we go on to the pantry. What would you find in my pantry? You'd find peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Just
Okay.
great, like good peanut butter, 100% whole.
Yep.
I don't even think I have to explain myself anymore.
Yeah.
Peanut butter, good peanut butter.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have some cereals. Mostly no like really crazy sugar cereals. Like Cheerios, stuff like that. Rice cakes, beans, rice, pasta, all the good stuff.
Mhm.
We have a lot of canned foods, canned fruit, vegetables, beans. I think that's it. Yeah, like tortillas, like good tortillas are always laying around.
Mhm.
And then we have the snack drawer. This is probably like the bad section of our house. We have the snack drawer for my girls. You
Yeah.
know, they live off their snacks. My brother would hate me for the. There's one thing my brother hates at my house. It's our
The
snack
snack
drawer.
drawer.
Yeah. We got like your. We got some good stuff in there. So we got like your. I love like dried fruit. So we always have like mangoes in there.
Oh, yeah.
Figs, dates.
Yeah.
Like you always find those three. But then you have like your crackers, your goldfish, your
Mhm.
those things for the girls. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
I
That's
think
like our main stuff. And of course we have some more things laying around. But
Yeah, that's a good assortment of things. We kind of have to do something similar. So just going through like my freezer, we don't really freeze any meat. The meat that we buy is usually eaten by the
Nice.
week.
Okay.
But I do like the concept of like stocking up because there's times like we want to make a dinner and we just don't have like the
Right.
meat ready available.
Right.
Anyway, so we don't really have like we go through different meats. We don't really like
Mhm.
select a meat every day or every week and make sure that we have it on hand. We
Right.
should though, but we always try to experiment with meats. Anyways, never meat. The things that we always have: avocados, tomatoes, onions.
I forgot my fruit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bananas, apples,
bananas,
avocados over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that section.
all kinds of berries,
Yep.
avocados, tomatoes, and onions. We
Mhm.
always have those because
Perfect.
we run through those. Bananas, we always run through those no matter what. Those
Yep.
are always eaten, which I love. And then for bread and like just carbs in general, there's always rice because we eat rice with nearly everything.
Mm-hmm.
Always rice. There's always Milton's bread because Milton is. I will go down saying Milton's is the best sliced bread that you could buy.
Milton's.
Milton's made in Carlsbad.
Okay.
Milton's bread is really good. You get it at Costco. And there's
Is that orange?
no,
orange
there's a
pack?
purple bag and then a red bag, and
Okay.
I think there's a green bag. Really good quality bread. Mostly all wheat based, but
Okay.
oat based too. And then we always have tortillas, and the tortilla. I'm very particular about my tortillas because for me a good snack is just eating like a warm tortilla,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to be the flour ones you get at Costco that you need to put on a griddle,
Okay.
and then it starts
They
forming.
poof up
It
and-
poof up and it
Mhm.
starts forming the
Yep.
tortilla.
Yep.
If you have a fresh tortilla like that for me, like I'm a happy man.
I'm a happy man.
So good because
You
then
dip
then
that
I
in
can
your
make
coffee,
like
bro.
I can imagine
Bring
I
it
can-
back.
I can make a good burrito with out of that, like a good egg burrito, a good
Mhm.
breakfast burrito, just like a good wrap,
Yeah. Heck
a
yeah.
good Euro dish.
Mm.
Like you could do so many things with that. So I love having tortillas and then bagels because my wife and my daughter love bagels.
Yeah.
They'll go through
Yeah.
two separate packs in a week.
Nice.
I don't really eat bagels, but they freaking love bagels.
Yeah. My daughters too. Yeah.
So those are the all the carbs that we have in the house. And as far as like veggies go, we'll always do like the normal, like we'll get a salad and we'll get like cucumber, mushrooms. Those are probably, and then carrots. Those are like the main ones.
Right.
We could do anything with those. We'll put them in different dishes or just eat them as snacks. Like a lot of it goes to Eloise's lunchbox. So we do that. And then like we'll do the snacks too, like the dried mangoes we love.
Right.
There's dehydrated fruit like strawberries or cherries or all that stuff. And then we'll always have trail mix in the house.
Nice.
I love trail mix.
Trail mix is addicting, bro.
That's like my dessert is like having a trail mix.
Which one? Like the standard like M&M one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So good.
That's what I do. That's what I eat all the time.
Yep.
So usually that's what it is. And I try to cook. I try to cook as much as I can at home.
Nice. What about sweets? Like, you have any sweets laying around?
I'm not a big ice cream person. One, because I'm lactose intolerant. So we never really had ice cream.
Okay.
We do like making banana bread.
Okay.
So there's always banana bread with like chocolate chips in it.
Mm.
Or there's always something baked in the house.
Nice.
Whether it's cookies or banana bread. But no, we don't really go out of our way to get sweets.
Okay.
There is like a dark chocolate peanut butter cup at Trader Joe's that Lindsay really likes.
Nice.
And every now and then I'll have one of those. But no, we don't really go out of our way to get like sweets or anything.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, my blueberries are like my sweets usually. But on top of that, honey. I always have honey in the house, so that's like my go-to like sweet tooth thing to go to. And then I do have dark chocolate in the freezer, so like the 70%, 80% from Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
So I eat like one of those squares a day.
Yeah. That's a good dessert.
What else did I forget about? I forgot about one. Oh, we always have grapes and strawberries in the fridge too.
Yeah. All
so
berries.
those are always like go-to.
Yeah, Lindsay, what I like about Lindsay, she likes to experiment with different kind of like fruit. So she'll get like apricots one day, she'll get like plumquats.
Nice.
She'll get plums, or she'll get peaches, or she'll get
it's the best
mandarins, she'll get all kinds of different fruit, like different kiwis, like
love it.
Whatever's good in season, she'll make sure like she knows what it is and she'll get it. And that's always like a different fruit around, which is cool. Like, oh, I never tried this fruit before. Nice. Let me try that.
Yeah. Do you have any supplements in your pantry?
Just protein powder.
Yeah.
If you count that, and then like vitamins that I get, like Men's Daily, like organic vitamins, but not really supplements. No.
Yeah, same. Whey protein bars, and I do take daily like salts. Like I have like salt packets. I have like magnesium, potassium.
Oh, really?
Like flavored salts, like natural salts.
Put it in like a water, or just eat it? Oh,
water. Yeah, in the morning I take that with my creatine. So I take creatine and my salts before I go to the gym, and then I'll work out, and then afterwards I'll take my protein powder mixed with a scoop of fiber.
Oh, dang. Salts. I need to research that. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, my brother got me into them. Sells them at his gym, so I buy a box every now and then from him.
Nice.
Stay salty.
Yeah, and sport. Yeah. And then okay, so last thing I want to go, because we're about to hit an hour.
Yeah.
Well, last thing I want to know is going back to coffee, which I'm sure you and I have on hand all the time at our house.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing, though I think you mentioned it, is to eat with coffee?
Eat with coffee. Eggs and toast, man.
Eggs and toast.
Yep, I will go to that every time. I know that it's not the best pair for coffee. A lot of people like their sweet, their pastries and their muffins and all their sweet stuff with their coffee, and that's pretty good with a latte, but I'm telling you, man, give me some toast, eggs, and a cup of coffee. I feel like that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do you make your toast, or how do you prepare your eggs? Like, because there's different ways to make a sunny side up eggs. Like I, for one, Lindsay and I, every now and then we'll get a craving of like, all right, let's make a sunny side egg over rice, and like let's just eat that.
Yeah. And
we'll always make the yolk runny. The yolk always has to be runny.
Yep.
But not wet on top.
Yep. So
what I do is like I'll preheat the saute pan with like with butter. Kerrygold butter is another thing we always have in the house. Kerrygold specifically.
All right.
And then I'll let it heat up, and I'll put a little bit more butter on it, so it has like a little bit of like thickness to it, or just like a good amount. So when I crack the 2 eggs on the pan, and I'll start scooping the melted butter and start just putting it on top of the yolk. because then that heats up the top part of the yolk without burning it,
Smart.
or like making it like hard, the yolk hard.
Right.
So then you get a good even surface on the bottom of like cooked egg white, and on top cooked egg white with the yolk still runny in the middle.
Nice.
How do you prepare your eggs?
So this, I mean, I've mastered it, so I've got this down. So it might not work for all, but you have to get brown eggs. It's hard to not pop yolks when you're doing the flip if you buy crappy white eggs.
Right.
Something about the yolk is just not as strong. So like if you go for your flip, it's just gonna pop. So brown eggs or home, grown eggs, the better. Like especially more like if the yolk is like more orange than yellow, it's a good sign. I usually cook 3 or 4 at a time in a little pan. I put a little bit butter. Pre-season the pan with a little bit of butter at first, but then you put eggs on top, and then once they're like halfway cooked, then you do the flip. So you can flip them all at the same time. So you just, if you do it perfect, you can flip them all at the same time, and then you cook it for just a little bit on the backside, and it gets rid of that like little extra runniness. Right. Salt and cayenne on top. Oh. Those are my eggs, and then my toast. I always cook 2 slices. A little bit of butter on each. I put my eggs on one piece, and then my other piece I split in half, and I put my mom's homemade apple butter on one, and I put honey on the other.
Dang,
that's like every time.
That's the setup right there.
Yeah, I could eat that for the rest of my life.
Do you just toast your eggs in a toast, or toast your bread in a toaster?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do too.
That's great.
That sounds good.
And then I make my coffee afterwards.
So I have 2 things like I like to eat with my coffee, and it depends on the type of coffee that I'm having. Mm-hmm. If I'm having just a black coffee, I like to eat something like a little bit on the sweet side, but I rarely do it. So I'll tend to like have like a piece of toast with butter and jam. Yeah, because that's like sweet enough for me to have with like my black coffee. Right. And I'll make like 2 of those. Good jam, good butter. Kerrygold, can't beat it.
Shout out.
And so I'll have that with my black coffee. Again, it's like something that maybe my dad would do back in the day, so that's probably why I do it. Yeah. And then with a latte, I'll make a breakfast burrito, and my breakfast burritos again consist of those very fresh tortillas. I'll scramble eggs with butter, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and I'll chop up an avocado. I'll put the avocado in it, no meat usually, and then I'll just put some salsa in it. Yeah, and I just wrap it up like that, and I'll just eat like 3 of those bad boys with my latte.
Heck yeah,
fresh tortilla, it's the best.
Heck yeah.
So that's my favorite thing to eat with coffee. The 2 favorite things to eat with coffee.
I do like avocado toast and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do that. You'll find at a coffee shop, but if I'm at home, no. Yeah. I never make avocado toast.
I do. Like it's not like fancy schmancy like a restaurant is. Yeah. I just literally put avocado on the toast and eat it that way. Yeah. But yeah, that was another part of our health month. Food. I can talk food all day. Yeah. Because I love it. But again, thank you for listening. I want comment below on what you want us to ask Cody next time he's on, because we're going to have him on. What do you like to eat with coffee? Let us know. And again, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.